He was once in the octagon, fighting for glory, fists flying, dreams alive. People knew him as a dangerous striker, a street brawler turned MMA competitor. But beneath that tough guy image hid a criminal mind that would plan one of the boldest robberies in British history. This is the story of Lee Murray, the fighter who swapped gloves for guns, ambition for infamy, and walked away with millions until it all came crashing down. Lee Murray was born on November 12, 1977, in Plumstead, London. He grew up in a working class neighborhood, surrounded by poverty, violence, and the kind of rough streets that test a kid before he even hits his teens. His father, Brahim, was Moroccan, strict, and often absent, while his mother, Barbara, was an English woman trying her best to hold the family together. Their relationship was rocky. Arguments, instability, and long stretches of tension made the house feel unpredictable. Murray has described his father as a man who demanded respect but didn't always give it back. And people close to the family said Lee often stepped into fights to protect his mother during heated arguments. Um, School never really held his attention, and he often found himself in fights, first in the playground, then in the streets. He developed a reputation early on as quick tempered, fearless, and unafraid of confrontation. By the age of 12, he was already involved in petty crime, shoplifting, street brawls, and minor thefts. These early experiences hardened him, teaching him how to read people, react fast, and adapt to dangerous situations, skills that would follow him for life. Murray also had a strong sense of loyalty to his friends and a code of honor on the streets, which sometimes kept him from escalating conflicts unnecessarily, but also sometimes dragged him into trouble. Even as a teenager, it was clear he had a presence, a mix of charisma, aggression, and unpredictability that drew attention wherever he went. By his late teens, Murray began training seriously in martial arts. He explored a range of disciplines: boxing, kickboxing, Muay Thai, and Brazilian Jiu Jitsu, becoming an all around fighter. Local gyms quickly took notice of his raw power and natural athleticism. He was not only tough physically, but mentally resilient, able to absorb punishment and push forward, even when outmatched. By the early 2000s, Murray was competing professionally in the UK MMA scene. He became known for his aggressive striking, relentless pressure, and devastating power, earning the nickname Lightning for his speed and explosiveness. One of his early notable fights was against K1 fighter Gary Turner, where Murray's stamina and striking ability caught the attention of fans and promoters alike. He also fought in Cage Rage and other prominent UK promotions, quickly building a reputation as someone who could end fights suddenly with knockout power. His style was unrefined compared to seasoned veterans, but his raw strength and fearlessness made him a dangerous opponent in any fight. In 2004, Murray made his UFC debut at UFC 46. He won by knockout, immediately impressing fans and signaling that his career could reach international prominence. Inside the octagon, he thrived on controlled aggression and precision. Outside, however, his life was chaotic: constant partying, brushes with the law, and struggles with alcohol. These patterns would later foreshadow the dangerous choices he would make outside the cage. By the mid 2000s, Murray's fighting career had plateaued. He was still dangerous in the cage, but his ambitions had shifted, and he became increasingly interested in high stakes crime. The opportunity came in February 2006 with the Securitas Depot in Tunbridge, Kent. The robbery was meticulously planned for months. Murray and his crew gathered intelligence on security protocols, employee routines, and escape routes. The plan involved a terrifying tactic as a tiger kidnapping, abducting family members to force compliance. And Murray didn't hesitate to use psychological warfare. His crew intercepted the depot manager as he was driving home, impersonating police officers. They handcuffed him, shoved him into a car, and then took him to a remote farm location. There, they showed him his wife and 8-year-old son, already bound and held hostage. They told him plainly, "Cooperate, or your family doesn't live to see tomorrow." The fear this created was so severe that even police officers later called it one of the cruelest and most calculated kidnappings ever seen in the UK. With the family firmly under control, the rest of the team moved into position. On February 21st, 2006, they forced the depot manager to grant them access to the building. Within an hour, Murray's crew emptied the depot of £53 million. the largest peacetime cash robbery in UK history. Murray's accomplices included several men he had known from his criminal background, including Paul Allen, Mark McCormick, and Anthony Morgan. Each played a specific role. Allen was involved in planning and logistics, McCormick coordinated getaway vehicles, and Morgan helped with the intimidation and control of hostages. But in the aftermath of the robbery, paranoia set in. Members of the crew began arguing about how to hide the cash, where to move it, and who might talk. And eventually, someone did. Multiple members of the team cracked under pressure, but the most notorious was Paul Allen, Murray's childhood friend and right-hand man. Allen cooperated with police to reduce his own sentence, giving authorities details about the escape routes, how the money was moved, and Murray's flight plan to Morocco. Another accomplice, Bernard Chohan, also cooperated, revealing where portions of the stolen cash had been hidden. These confessions were key to finally cornering Murray overseas. Despite stealing £53 million, only a fraction of the money was ever recovered. Investigators believe that Murray and his crew laundered or stashed the majority abroad before law enforcement could intercept it. Some speculate millions are still hidden in Morocco, Dubai, and Spain, untouched, waiting. Murray fled to Morocco, using his dual heritage to complicate extradition. He remained there for months, avoiding capture while the UK police pursued leads across Europe. In June 2006, Moroccan authorities finally arrested him in Rabat. Unlike his accomplices in the UK, Murray's citizenship protected him from immediate extradition, giving him a temporary reprieve. In 2010, he was convicted in a Moroccan court for armed robbery, kidnapping, and forming a criminal gang. Initially sentenced to 10 years, his sentence was later extended to 25 years after prosecutors pushed for a harsher penalty. Today, Lee Murray remains incarcerated in Tiflis Prison, one of Morocco's toughest and most notorious facilities. Reports say the prison is overcrowded, extremely violent, and brutally hot in the summer. Murray allegedly spends most of his time training, shadowboxing, and lifting makeshift weights to stay in shape. Other inmates have said he still carries himself like a fighter and commands respect, but the conditions are a far cry from the bright lights of the Octagon. He's allowed limited contact with the outside world, and occasionally letters or secondhand accounts describe him as reflective, frustrated, and still clinging to hopes of release, even though he won't be eligible until later in his life. Lee Murray's story is one of contrasts: fighter and criminal, athlete and outlaw. Inside the octagon, he was fearless, disciplined, and strategic, a man who could dominate through skill and sheer willpower. Outside it, he became reckless, audacious, and cunning, taking risks that would ruin his freedom and shock the world. Some call him a mastermind, others call him a cautionary tale of wasted potential. His audacity in the Securitas heist cemented his place in British criminal history, a fighter who used his intelligence, fearlessness, and street smarts for crime rather than sport. But the story also raises questions about human behavior, risk, and ambition. How much of Murray's criminal path was shaped by his early environment, his personality, or the adrenaline-fueled life of fighting? Was it desperation, ego, or simple thrill-seeking that led him from the cage to a life on the run? The answers may never be fully known. Lee Murray remains a figure of fascination for fight fans and true crime enthusiasts alike, a man who could inspire awe in the octagon, yet terror in the real world. His story is a reminder that extraordinary skill and potential can be twisted by choices, circumstances, and ambition. From street fighter to UFC contender to infamous bank robber, Lee Murray's life shows how thin the line can be between respect and infamy, glory and crime.